Your hot tub's not heating. There's a couple reasons why. Is you want to check to make sure you do your tests, your voltage and your amperage on your heater element. That's the first thing you're going to check. Okay, so if you've done the tests here, and I'll link this video below in the description so you can test this part. Okay. The other thing you can check is your pump. Now, is your pump working? Is the flow working? Is the flow from the filter down to the pump actually working? So if your pump's off, obviously it's not going to heat. Pump's off, and I'll link down below if you have any pump issues, what to look for, what to test. Because you could probably test that capacitor, if it's a capacitor issue or if it's a bearing seized. Now, it doesn't matter if you have this pump here, you would run your circ pump on the low speed, and the low speed would heat. Now, you might have a different setup where your circ pump's totally different than this bigger one. You might have a smaller one. You might have a tiny mite. You might have this other style here. Now, there's the front of it. And this is from a jacuzzi hot tub where they have these little tiny pumps. They're always a problem. You can't find parts. You pretty much gotta buy the whole thing to replace it. So you gotta make sure that that's working. Now make sure that your pumps are all working, your circ pumps. Like even if you have that big one or one of these small ones. Now if they're not working, you could check the fuses. You might not have this pack, but they're pretty much all the same. You have all the relays, those black relays in the bottom, and you got to make sure they're clicking on. You know, you got the power coming in, you get the fuses, so you can line them all up. Whatever your circ pump is, you just have to look to see which one it is. So if you have your circ pump, you have the smaller one, you just got to look up. So there's F1, F2, F3 for this one here, and they're pretty straightforward. If something's not working, even if your top side's blank, a lot of times there's these little tiny fuses right here. But you got to look on the back of the schematics on the back of this cover that sits on here. Going back to the filter, pull the filter if your hot tub's not, you know, even if you don't have, see, you could have no codes whatsoever and it kind of still heats randomly. Sometimes it kicks in, the heat comes on. Sometimes because you could test this and it says it's not heating, and some tubs at that moment, oh, it's not heating, but it should be heating. You might have an issue with this one here is a sensor, but you might have a pressure switch and you might have to adjust it. And I have a video on this, and I'll link it also down below, how to test these. It's because you can see if it's, even by the video that I have, even if you adjust the pressure switch, it's kind of a temporary fix. You're going to have to replace it at some point. There's a spring inside there, and either something is in front of that, in that heat tube, you know, hair, whatever. If you ever change this element out and you have a pressure switch, I always, because I know it's kind of like the same, they're both new, I always change out the pressure switch and the element at the same time, even if there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that I'm in there, I might as well put a brand new one, because these will fail at some point. So since you're in there changing this out, change your pressure switch out. With the filter, if you pull that filter out and it still doesn't heat, look on the bottom, way on the bottom of the filter. You'll see this flap. You'll see it on the inside. Normally you can see this little spring. There's a little doorway on the bottom of a lot of the filters. A lot of times now in your hot tub you might not be able to see this because you might have a different type of filter. These are the ones that you can see, this are the ones you can look straight down on. I've seen these, the door break off in the spring, this part, the door, I've seen it break off and end up in the heat tube, and then it's not heating, or it trips the breaker because there's a spring in it. Now it depends on what kind of setup you have. I've taken these out, these little door things and the spring, I've taken them out of the front of a pump, right in there. So I've had them jammed up in there. And there's another thing to look out for, is if your heat's just random, is stuff that's plugged in here. Because here it pushes out, and you can see the daylight in there. And if you get a lot of hair build up, lint's a big thing. Hair and lint, and it will block all these here. That's the worst thing for hot tubs, is hair and lint, and because they always get in here, and your screens don't get everything on your filter. Hair gets through, and other things get through on the bottom sections. This could be slowing. Could be the cause too of your hot tub not heating. Could be stuff jammed up in there. It happens a lot more in swimming pools than it does in hot tubs. If you're watching this video, I wouldn't worry too much, because it's only like maybe a 1% chance that you're gonna have this jammed up in here, all this stuff. It's normally something else. This would be the last thing you want to do if you just can't figure it out. It's gonna be something from your filter all the way to whatever circ pump you have. Like even if you have these small ones right here. Now if you have these small ones, these get jammed up very easy. There's only one, everything's small. The tubing's all small. So lint and stuff, it's not like this bigger one. The lint goes in there and it really gets jammed up, just builds up here. And it's harder to spit out. Even if you can't figure it out, if you do follow all the videos that I have down below, there's another one you can check, is to make sure that that relay's clicking on and off. Now you can turn the power off and then turn the power back on, and you have to stand right there and you have to listen to when the power's off. So it's good to have two people. So have somebody turn the power off. You're standing here watching this and listening, and then they turn the power on and you're going to hear for a click here. You could test here at the same time, for voltage right here, see if it clicks in. If you turn this on and you don't hear that clicking going on, you might hear one click. You should have about 2 clicks. One click is just the power coming in. The second click is usually it's a couple seconds after that. It's just telling the relay to click in for the heat if it's calling for it. So you can also check to see if it's a board issue by this here. I just have to put the sticker on for a customer. But another thing you can do is you turn down the temperature all the way down, and you're gonna have to wait a little bit. Now if it doesn't turn off, there's could probably be a board issue. But you should be able to turn this all the way down as far as you can go, and then wait a little bit and see if the circ pump stops working, because it thinks it's already got up to heat and it should shut off. Then what you do is start bringing it back up. Once you get past that point of what your temperature is in your tub, and you should hear a click. That relay clicks in, and then the pump will turn on, and then test your heater element again. Now turning this down and then turning this back up to hear if it's clicking, we're just kind of seeing if the board there's an issue with the circuit board or not. A lot of times when you turn this down, there's no communication, and it just won't. It'll just keep on running and running. The pump will just keep on running. Won't listen to my commands at the keypad. Now you'll hear the click. That should be the heater element clicking in. The pump will turn on. It should turn on. If it doesn't turn on, there's an issue. Now if you turn your heat down, all the way down. If you turn your heat all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, and the pump turns off, and on your top side an error code comes up, yeah, there's a problem with the board. So a lot of times when you turn this down, as soon as that pump turns off, this can't communicate with the circuit board, and an error code comes up here, like a flow issue or a sensor issue or something will come up. And the only way, if it goes and turn this back up, and if it goes away, then it's going to be a board. It's probably a board issue anyway. Now, hopefully this video helped you out. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and then we'll see you on the next one.